Javon Dexter is fired up, and for good reason. Entering his second full year as a starter and already stepping into a leadership role. For the Chicago Bears, Dexter has his eyes locked on someone he believes could be a cornerstone of the team's future. Rookie defensive tackle Shamar Turner, and this isn't just the usual preseason hype. Dexter's praise for Turner goes deeper than surface-level compliments. He sees the raw tools, the athleticism, and perhaps most importantly the potential to grow together into something special on that defensive line. From the moment the Bears selected Turner in the second round of the draft, it was clear the organization had a long-term vision. They weren't just grabbing talent for depth, they were investing in a future core, and Turner is expected to be a part of that foundation. His college stats at Texas A&M already speak volumes: over 100 tackles, more than 20 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, and a relentless motor that showed up every Saturday. He was a menace in the trenches, but of course transitioning to the NFL is a whole different ball game. That's why Dexter's words matter, because when a young vet sees something in a rookie, that's usually a sign. Dexter mentioned that Turner has all the tools, highlighting his athleticism and natural talent. He talked about how valuable it is to come into a system with guys you can grow with, not just individually, but collectively. That bond, that understanding, that chemistry, it's not just something that happens overnight. And it's often overlooked in sports. When two players develop side by side, learning the same playbook, going through the same battles, they begin to complement each other in subtle but powerful ways. They pick up on each other's tendencies, cover for one another's weaknesses, and build that unspoken trust that's so rare on the field. Now let's be realistic. Turner's probably not going to be an every down player from the jump. Not with veterans like Grady Jarrett and Andrew Billings ahead of him in the rotation. But that's actually a good thing. It gives him the space to learn, adapt, and absorb everything from guys who've been through the wars. And with Dennis Allen now orchestrating the defense, there's even more reason to believe this group will be developed the right way. Turner's ceiling is high, and this coaching staff finally feels like one that can actually bring young players along the right path. Turner isn't alone in that rookie class either. The Bears brought in a solid crop of young talent, and while not all of them will hit, it's clear that there's a focus on building through youth. Zay Frazier in the secondary is another one to watch. Ruben Hippolyte brings energy and tenacity at linebacker, and then there's the contract situation looming over it all. Turner, along with fellow second-rounders Luther Burden and AZ Trapillo, still hasn't signed. That's not ideal with training camp right around the corner, but it's also not something to panic over yet. Across the league, the majority of second-round picks remain unsigned. It's not unique to the Bears, but having 3 second-rounders still without contracts adds a little extra tension, especially when you consider that 2 of them, Burden and Trapillo, are competing for starting spots. These aren't guys who can afford to fall behind. And every day missed in camp is a step backward when you're trying to get reps, timing, and chemistry locked in. There's speculation that the holdup comes down to guaranteed money and signing bonuses. The structure of rookie contracts for second-round picks has always been a little more fluid than first-rounders, so agents have more room to negotiate, and it seems like they're using it, with nil deals giving college players early experience in contract negotiations and branding. Today's rookies are coming into the NFL more business-savvy than ever. But even still, nobody wants to start their professional career bogged down in contract drama. If things aren't resolved by the time camp kicks off, that's when concern turns to reality. Especially when you have guys like Trapillo in the mix for a critical left tackle spot, and Burden competing for that starting slot receiver role. These are major positions, and missing time could open the door for someone else to take their place. The competition is fierce and the margin for error is thin. Even Turner, who may not start right away, needs every moment of practice to get up to NFL speed. Back on the field, there's more to look forward to. Jaquan Brisker, now healthy and looking determined, has been talking big. He's embracing the role of a Swiss Army knife in Dennis Allen's defensive system, which leans heavily on versatility and deception. Allen loves to disguise his coverages to confuse quarterbacks, and Brisker wants to be right in the middle of it all. His ability to play both in the box and in coverage makes him a prime candidate to shine, assuming he stays on the field. That's been his biggest issue, health, and he knows it. You can't be a Swiss Army knife if half your tools are broken. So for Brisker, this year is all about consistency, availability, and unlocking the full range of his skill set. He's not alone in needing to prove something. Players like Daniel Hardy, who made a name for himself on special teams last season, now face the challenge of translating that effort into a role on defense. Hardy led the team in special teams tackles and even blocked a punt, but with edge depth still a concern, the Bears need him or someone to emerge as a legit rotational pass rusher. He's no longer an under-Therodar guy. The spotlight's on, and with that comes expectation. Austin Booker is another name that keeps popping up. Drafted with the hope of developing him into a starter down the line, he's been grinding this offseason with Dexter and Jarrett, putting on weight and refining his technique. He's still raw, but the talent is there. And with the Bears possibly choosing not to add another veteran edge rusher, that could mean they're putting faith in guys like Booker and Hardy to step up. That's a risk, sure, but it's also a vote of confidence in their growth. And then there's the wild card Tasheem Johnson, an undrafted free agent who led Oregon in interceptions last year. Johnson is one of those guys who just finds a way to be around the football. He's probably a long shot to make the roster outright, but there's a path there. With guys like Kevin Byard and Brisker leading the safety room, Johnson could use the preseason to carve out a role for himself, even if it starts on the practice squad. The key is showing flashes, ball skills, instinct, play recognition. If he does that, he'll give the coaches something to think about. This training camp is shaping up to be one of the most competitive in recent memory for Chicago, and not just for the big names or the headline rookies. It's the depth battles, the positional duels, the players trying to move from fringe to rotation, from rotation to starter. That's where you build a roster. That's where good teams separate themselves. The top of the roster might be set, but it's the middle and bottom that determines how far this team can actually go. Zay Frazier is another intriguing prospect. Coming out of UTSA with a blend of size and speed, he fits the mold of a Dennis Allen cornerback, aggressive, rangy, and opportunistic. He won't be handed anything, not with Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, and Tyreek Stevenson already in the room. But Allen likes to use a lot of defensive backs, and that could open the door for a guy like Frazier to work his way into some packages. His college tape shows a player with great instincts and ball tracking ability. And if that translates to the next level, the Bears might have another latter-round gem on their hands. Linebacker depth is another area to watch. Noah Sewell enters this camp with a real shot to push for more snaps. Last year, he was buried on the depth chart, but with a fresh start and some open competition, this could be his moment. He'll have to hold off Ruben Hippolyte, who brings a ton of energy and upside. But if Sewell shows out in camp, he could earn himself a much larger role this season. It's Doherty time for him. He's been lurking in the shadows, but now the spotlight's creeping closer. The vibe around the Bears feels different this year. There's finally a sense that the coaching staff knows what it's doing, that there's a plan for player development and a system in place to maximize potential. That hasn't always been the case in Chicago. For too long, raw talent would show up in flashes but fizzle out without direction. Now there's optimism that these young guys, whether it's Turner, Booker, or Johnson, can actually be molded into long-term contributors, and that brings us full circle. Because when a player like Javon Dexter not only recognizes talent in a rookie but embraces the idea of building something together, that's a powerful statement. That's culture. That's what every team is trying to build in training camp. It's not just about drills and depth charts, it's about forming bonds, sharpening iron with iron, and laying the foundation for what you hope will be a winning season. Turner might not be the star today, but he's already earned respect, and that's how every great journey begins. And as we roll deeper into the most pivotal moments of the offseason, it becomes even more clear that what happens over the next few weeks at training camp is going to shape not just the starting lineup, but the entire identity of this Bears defense. Every rep matters, every mistake is magnified, every flash of potential could be the first spark of something lasting. That's why so much of the attention is on the rookies and younger players right now. Because we already know what the vets are going to bring, but it's the new blood that could push this unit into a different tier. Let's go back to Shamar Turner for a moment, because his journey is going to mirror what a lot of guys are dealing with in camp. He's not expected to be dominant out of the gate. No one's demanding 10 sacks in his rookie season, but what the Bears want to see, what Dennis Allen and his staff are going to be laser focused on, is whether he can process the playbook, quickly adapt to the speed of the game, and start stacking solid reps. Can he hold his ground in the trenches when the pads come on? Can he identify blocking schemes in real time and respond with technique, not just athleticism? These are the tests that separate the hype from the real deal. And when a player like Javon Dexter is already mentally preparing to grow alongside him, you know there's something there. This dynamic of players developing together is so crucial for a team that's still trying to define itself. The Bears have been in rebuild mode for a while now, but there's finally a sense that the pieces are coming together in a way that makes sense. You've got veterans who have been through losing seasons who've experienced the frustration. And now they're looking around and realizing the room has changed. There's energy, there's hunger, and most importantly, there's talent that actually fits the vision. The front office hasn't been perfect, but this last draft class feels like it might be different. It's not just about where the players were selected, it's about how they project in this system. Whether it's Turner in the interior, Trapillo on the edge of the offensive line, or Burden in the slot, each of them fills a need that the team has been trying to solve for years. And while contract negotiations are still lingering, there's optimism that it's more of a league-wide timing issue than a sign of deeper problems. As long as these deals get done before the hitting really starts, the focus will stay on football. One of the most fascinating aspects of this camp is going to be the way Dennis Allen rotates his defensive backs. We've already heard Jaquin Brisker rave about the complexity and versatility of Allen's scheme. And he's not just throwing out coach speak. Allen's defenses are notoriously layered. He disguises blitzes, switches, coverage shells, post-snap, and finds creative ways to utilize DBS and hybrid roles. That plays directly into Brisker's strength, and he knows it. But it also creates opportunities for players like Zay Frazier and even undrafted guys like Tasheem Johnson to find niche roles. Zay Frazier, with his blend of size, speed, and instincts, may not be cracking the starting lineup anytime soon, but in Allen's system, there's a path to meaningful snaps for a guy like him. The Bears are going to run a lot of nickel, maybe even dime, and they're going to do it with confidence. If Frazier proves he can hold his own in coverage and make plays on the ball, he's going to stick. The same goes for Tasheem Johnson, whose ball skills and aggressive style stood out at Oregon. He's not just fighting for a practice squad spot, he's fighting to prove he belongs in the long-term plan. Let's not forget about Noah Sewell either. After spending most of last season buried on the depth chart, this camp feels like a make-or-break moment for him. The opportunity is there. The linebacker group has depth, yes, but not enough to ignore someone who shows out. If Sewell wants to shake the label of being a developmental project, this is the time. He's got to show that he can read offenses, diagnose plays, and get to the ball quickly. It's not about big hits or highlight reel moments, it's about consistency. If he can string together solid practices, he might not just make the roster, but actually earn real playing time. And then we shift back to the edge, because let's be honest, pass rush is where games are won and lost in this league. The Bears have their top guys in place, but depth is still a question. That's where Daniel Hardy and Austin Booker come in. Hardy had a great preseason last year, made some big special teams plays, but now it's about taking that next step. Can he be a situational pass rusher? Can he be trusted to set the edge in early down run situations? If he can check those boxes, he'll force the coaching staff to find a spot for him in the rotation. Austin Booker, meanwhile, might have the highest ceiling of any of the non-starters. On the defensive line, his frame, athleticism, and raw skill were enough to get people excited even before he played it down in the NFL. But this offseason, he's been doing all the right things. Working out with Dexter and Jarrett, adding size, refining his footwork. He's preparing like a guy who knows the opportunity is real. And if the Bears decide not to bring in another veteran edge rusher, that could be the biggest vote of confidence yet. The team wants to see what they have in Booker. They want to know if he can be a part of the long-term pass rush equation. It's a high-risk, high-reward situation, but sometimes that's what separates average teams from great ones: the ability to develop talent from within. And the Bears haven't always done that well in recent years. Too many promising names have come and gone without ever truly blossoming. But maybe, just maybe, things are turning. There's a real chance this defense could become something special. Not because they've got big names all over the field, but because the unit is being built with intention. Every player has a role. Every scheme fits the personnel. And most importantly, there's a coaching staff in place that seems to understand how to teach, how to motivate, and how to adjust. That last part might be the most important of all. The NFL is all about adjustments, drive to drive, week to week, season to season. And with Dennis Allen now leading the defense, you get the sense that this group is finally going to be able to punch back. There are still questions, of course. Can Brisker stay healthy? Will Turner be ready for meaningful snaps by midseason? Can someone like Frazier or Johnson force their way onto the field and make an impact? These aren't small questions, but they're the right ones to be asking, because these are the kinds of questions that matter when a team is actually on the rise. They're not about whether the defense can survive, they're about whether the defense can dominate. And at the center of all of it is a core of young, hungry, and increasingly confident players who aren't just looking to prove themselves. They're looking to elevate each other. That's what made Dexter's comments about Turner stand out. He wasn't talking like a guy protecting his spot or sizing up the competition. He was talking like a leader who wants to build something, and that mentality can be contagious. When one guy starts studying extra tape to keep up with his rookie teammate, when another pushes himself harder in drills because he sees someone grinding for a roster spot, that energy spreads. And before long, the whole unit is sharper, faster, more in sync. That's how great defenses are built. Not just on talent, but on connection. We've seen flashes of it in Chicago over the years, but they've been fleeting. This time it feels like it might stick. Maybe it's the combination of leadership and youth. Maybe it's the shift in coaching philosophy, or maybe it's just time. Whatever the reason, there's a different vibe in the building right now. And if that carries into training camp, then we might just be witnessing the start of something real. Of course, we've seen excitement turn into disappointment before. We've seen rookies fizzle out, coaching changes fall flat, and promising off seasons lead to frustrating autumns. But there's also something to be said about learning from that, about knowing how fragile momentum can be, and that's why this training camp matters so much. Because it's not just about preparing for the season, it's about proving that this time it's going to be different. So whether it's Shamar Turner learning to shed blocks faster, Zay Frazier locking up receivers and Oni and Owns, or Austin Booker flying off the edge in third down drills, every snap counts. Every meeting, every walkthrough, every rep is another chance to push this team forward. And as long as the guys in the locker room are buying into that, the ceiling for this defense is a whole lot higher than people think. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what's quickly becoming one of the most talked about developments of the NFL offseason, whispers around the league suggest that the Chicago Bears might have just pulled off a major coup. Word is spreading that Jadeveon Clowney, the three-time Pro Bowl edge rusher, could be heading to the Windy City. While nothing is official yet, sources close to the situation hint at advanced talks, and even a potential agreement between Clowney and the Bears. If true, this could mark a massive boost for Chicago's defensive front. Clowney, known for his explosive speed off the edge and game-changing tackles, would bring a dynamic presence to a Bears defense already showing signs of resurgence. After a strong second half in the 2024 season, the Bears seem determined to build on that momentum, and Clowney could be the statement signing they need. Although no formal announcement has been made, league insiders have noted increased activity between Clowney's representatives and Bears officials over the past week. Some even believe the deal is done, quietly finalized, and awaiting the right moment for a splashy reveal. Still, others caution that while negotiations have progressed, final hurdles remain, particularly around contract length and incentives. At 30, Clowney isn't the dominant force he once was during his early years with the Texans, but his 2024 campaign showed he still has plenty left in the tank.